Weak combat sound ability. A reverse war song that turns the whole scene upside down. Introduction. Copying Songs+Fighting+Hot, Blood+Killing, Decisive+Cool writing, alien invasion, Warcraft rampage, Blue Star encounters a huge crisis. All humans have benefited from misfortune and gained the ability to awaken. Nian gained the battle sound ability, which was not favored by everyone and was considered the weakest ability. Regarding this, Nian said that you were all wrong. He sang the song, Reverse War, with thousands of tanks attacking, huge mechas falling from the sky, and countless soldiers throwing their heads and shedding blood, rushing to the battlefield. A song called, Chasing the Dream of the Red Heart, ignited the hope of countless people to resist the demons of other worlds together. A song from Rise, featuring countless heroes fighting to defend their homeland. A song called Rice Fragrance, soothing everyone's wounds and healing the people. Chapter 1. Awakening the weakest ability. Battle sound. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Today, with an extremely heavy heart, I tell everyone that more than half of the soldiers on the front line have died or been injured. The invasion of the other world has reached a terrifying scale, and the number of Warcraft is incalculable. As a last resort, we have decided to fully initiate the awakening ceremony. Everyone has the right to fight for themselves. Fight for our homeland. Dragon Kingdom, Imperial Capital, above the square. A soldier with half his arm broken stood on a high platform and shouted passionately. Under the stage, countless people raised their arms and shouted. Fight for our homeland. On the side, in front of the awakening platform, a long queue formed. There are elderly people with graying hair, energetic teenagers, and middle-aged people with big bellies. Everyone is eagerly anticipating. I don't know what will awaken. I hope I can awaken the ability evaluated as SSS level. SSS level. What about your dreams? Being able to successfully awaken can be considered a burning incense. Oh, don't say it, the world is like this, I just hope to survive. 1/10 of the people in the entire imperial capital gathered here, whether it was laborers or high-ranking elites, waiting for the result of awakening. A considerable portion of them have already awakened, either disbelieving or holding a lucky mentality, preparing to awaken again. Reborn into this world, without war or modern weapons, I thought I could do business well, climb Forbes, and become a financial giant. Unexpectedly, this world was invaded by another world. How could I be so unlucky? In front of the team, Nian let out a long sigh. Ahead is the awakening platform. Next up. Su Rong. A beautiful girl with stunning appearance stepped onto the stage and placed her hand on the awakening stage. Then, the light scattered and the entire awakening platform emitted a blue glow. A purple rune appeared on Su Rong's body and landed on her forehead. I saw the shape of a pupil. The staff responsible for awakening widened their eyes and breathed rapidly, saying. Surprisingly, it's an S.level ability. Purple Yunlingyan. Su Rong. S.level ability, Purple Raimai, can cause mental attacks. And insight into enemy weaknesses. The people below were all shocked, with different lights shining in their eyes. Some people envy, and some want to win her over. How many S.level abilities have awakened in the entire Dragon Kingdom? It is said to be only 3 digits. And it still has the ability to cause mental attacks. It's too strong. It's really too strong. S.level ability can't be a big killer on the battlefield. Absolutely invincible. I just realized she's Su Rong. Her younger brother was the hottest before, that financial genius. Su Nian. Su Nian is also here. He is about to take the stage. I don't know what ability Su Nian will awaken. Sister awakens such a powerful ability, so he definitely won't let it go too much, will he? Awakening and bloodline have nothing to do with it. Next, Su Nian. Su Nian and Su Rong passed by. Su Rong sneered and said, "In the future, I will help preserve our family's assets. Be sensible and don't force me to take action." Su Nian had no expression on his face and walked straight onto the awakening stage. He doesn't have a harmonious relationship with Su Rong, he's just his half-sister, a malicious woman. Su Nian started to get involved in business from a young age and gradually grew bigger. This sister is trying every means possible to erode all his property and make him sweep out the door. Su Nian has no good impression of her at all. He placed one hand on the awakening platform. I saw a flickering light, and a note floated up and landed in his hand. Awakened. What is that? I don't know, I can't recognize it. But it's definitely not the strongest abilities. I checked, it's War Sound. D.Level ability. D.Level ability. Isn't this the most useless level? Sure enough, awakening ability has nothing to do with bloodline. Su Nian walked off the awakening platform with a blank expression on his face. Su Rong took a step forward and sneered, Su Nian, have you seen it too? My abilities are at the S.level. I advise you to give me all your property as soon as possible. Otherwise. Humph. Su Rong hugged her arm and sneered. Foolish. Su Nian cursed and immediately turned around and left. You. Su Rong gritted her teeth in anger, her eyes lit up, and she launched a mental attack on Su Nian. Bang. A figure blocked Su Nian's body, blocking this spiritual attack. That is a woman wearing a black silk OL skirt, with a shield floating in front of her and a crack appearing above her. Su Mei, let's go. Su Nian took Su Mei's hand and walked out. Damn Su Mei, Su Nian. One day, I will make you die so hard. Su Rong stomped her feet and said fiercely. Nearby people began to discuss. Confronting S.level capable individuals. Is Su Nian not going to die? TSK a D.level ability person, still attempting to confront an S.level ability person. Isn't this purely seeking death? In my opinion, we should give all our property to this beautiful woman. Only the strong are qualified to occupy wealth. Listening to the nearby discussions, Su Rong laughed. She looked at Su Nian's back as if she had seen him trampling on her feet, begging for mercy. At this moment, Su Nian walked out of the crowd without any disappointment. He just chuckled lightly. Su Nian, are you okay? Su Mei worried beside her. It's okay, thank you, Sister Su Mei. I will protect our property. Our lives are in danger, and I will also protect them. Su Nian came to this world for 18 years, worked hard and never relaxed, which was why he created such a family business. Zhaozuiyuan.com isn't it just an S.level ability? What is it? The rating of abilities is determined by individuals, not innate. From SSS, SS, S to A, B, C, D, these are all artificially divided. Strength and weakness are just human wishful thinking. Many abilities have not been fully utilized to their fullest potential. Weak combat sound ability. How can we see this? If Su Nian were to be graded. This. Janine, definitely SSS, no. Beyond the level of SSS. Su Nian said to Su Mei, get all the sound equipment used in our concert hall ready. There are also various instruments, I want them all. Su Mei immediately nodded and took out her phone to start processing. Su Nian looked towards the east, where the sky was dark and there were a constant stream of monsters from other worlds emerging from the huge cracks. This is one of the more than 100 temporal and spatial cracks in the Dragon Kingdom, and also one of the most brutal battlefields. Countless awakened warriors are resisting the invasion of foreign tribes, and blood has already spilled over the earth. And at such a critical moment, how could someone still covet someone else's property? Funny. Su Nian touched the musical symbols on his hand and felt a bamboo in his heart. He returned to his nanny car and opened his portable laptop. Open the folder, open the Copy Songs folder, and finally click on it. Inside are all the songs he remembers and perfectly reproduces from his past life. The level of entertainment in this world is very weak, and he is preparing for it with the intention of making a big impact in the music industry. However, I didn't expect that, instead of waiting for such an opportunity, disaster had arrived first. The road turns back and forth. His preparation was not in vain. Chapter 2. Cruel Battlefield, Selfish Heart. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the square, there is still a constant stream of awakened people. Anyone who awakens to level S can directly obtain the title of level 4 warrior, with subordinates commanding a scale of 1,000 people. Su Rong looked at her 1,000 subordinates, all of whom had awakened abilities above level D, and she smiled contemptuously. A group of trash, determined from the moment she woke up, these were just dogs under her feet. She, Su Rong, should be the woman standing at the top of power and wealth. Everything should belong to her. Su Nian. I gave you a chance, but if you don't cherish it, next time it will make you suffer. The square awakened for a day and a night, spinning, and finally awakened everyone. This awakening resulted in the appearance of a total of 5 S.level capable individuals. 1 SS level capable individual. They will lead everyone to the front line for battle. Set off now. As a D.level capable individual, Su Nian was also recruited and became a member of the 5,000th team. The soldiers of this 1,000-player team are a high school student named Wang Tao who has obtained an S.level ability, Explosive Flame. Su Nian. That's you, right? I advise you to quickly hand over all your property to Sister Su Rong. Otherwise. You'll know when you get to the battlefield. Wang Tao approached Su Nian and threatened. Hee. How are you? Wang Tao raised his left hand. A fierce flame filled his fist, ready to strike. However, a thick voice came. Wang Tao. Observe military discipline. Wang Tao put down his hand, pursed his lips, and pointed his index finger at Su Nian's face, saying, When we arrive at the battlefield, I will deal with you. He walked back onto the stage, and Su Rong immediately attached herself, hugging his arm and whispering something softly, while Wang Tao beside him chuckled. Lick a dog. Su Nian shook his head, touched the notes on his hand, and smiled. Go to the battlefield. Let's see who's taking care of who. The soldier with a broken arm walked up to the high platform, raised his last hand, and shouted loudly. Defend our homeland. Everyone shouted in unison, Defend our homeland. Whispering sounds came from the side. This is Chu Fifan General. He is an 8th level general and has been on the front line since the invasion of another world. I have heard that his arm was bitten off by a sky-eating beast and cannot be restored. It is said that the sky-eating beast can crush the entire building with just one bite. Chu Fifan's ability is an SS level spatial ability. It's incredibly powerful. It's enviable. General Chu is going to use space teleportation capabilities. We're on the battlefield, remember to take care of each other. I hope you can come back alive this time. Su Nian looked at the soldier on the stage, raising one arm and a bright silver light spread out. Everyone on the square is covered. A huge sense of spatial pressure came, and Su Nian covered his chest and head, feeling as if his organs and brain were about to be crushed. The space transfer has started. Shadows were enveloped by silver light and disappeared into the open space. Su Nian also felt a silver flash in front of him, and a feeling of weightlessness came from his body. After a moment, a smell of blood came from the soil. Su Nian looked at this battlefield, with flesh and soil beneath his feet, and countless Warcraft corpses and human corpses scattered on the ground. Some people who can't bear it have already vomited. Su Nian had no expression. Although he was also feeling a bit uncomfortable, he didn't react much. Wang Tao, a high school student who was originally muttering to teach Su Nian a lesson, had weak legs and was kneeling on the ground vomiting. Su Rong, standing aside, took a half step back in disgust. Everyone, there's no time to adapt. Prepare for battle. Chu Fifan let out a loud shout, a silver light flashed in his hand, and a huge demon bear in front of him was cut off by his waist. He rushed forward, his spatial ability invincible, cutting through the lives of each Warcraft. The others also gritted their teeth and stood up, starting the battle. Because not fighting will only lead to death. Just as they stepped onto this land, dozens of people had already been killed by the sudden arrival of Warcraft. This is completely using us as cannon fodder. Everyone huddle together. Huddle together. Don't scatter. Mad, why are you hiding in the innermost part? Go out and fight for me. Waste. Waste. A bunch of waste. I'm your team leader. Hurry up. You also know that you are the captain. Why don't you go up to his mother's level? Mad, how dare you, AC.level ability, curse at me. Looking for death. The battlefield was chaotic. Su Nian stepped back and walked out of the chaotic crowd to meet Su Mei. Su Mei handed over a microphone, and Su Nian took it over. Facing Su Nian's gaze, Su Mei nodded and said, "You're ready." Okay. Su Nian was just about to pick up the microphone. Suddenly, a mental attack shot in. Su Mei quickly raised her shield. Blocked in front of Su Nian. Bang! The shield cracked a gap, Su Mei gritted her teeth, and a shield appeared. Overlay on top. Su Rong. Now on the battlefield. You're actually taking action against your own people. Su Mei gritted her teeth, her shield constantly stacking up in front of her. Spiritual attacks came one after another, exploding on top of Su Mei's shield, shattering one shield after another. Su Mei, I can't figure it out. As an A.level, spirit shield ability, why are you protecting him as a useless person? Isn't it okay for us to snatch his property together? I'll give you a 50% share. Su Rong constantly launched mental attacks, calling out to the Shuyuan website www.zhaoshuyuan.com. Enough of you. Su Mei roared angrily, Su Nian has established such a big business today. How many difficulties he has gone through along the way, and he still has to face the coveting of bastards like you. Su Mei's persistence has enabled Su Nian to complete all preparations. He looked at Su Mei's back and clenched the microphone in his hand. Su Rong, you are really disgusting. Su Nian raised the microphone. He lifted his left hand, and the notes on it emitted a huge light. I saw audio speakers appearing behind him. These are all super advanced sound systems that are only used in concerts, which can amplify the sound dozens of times with unparalleled clarity. He pressed the button and the recorded accompaniment had already sounded. Let you see, the combat sound ability is amazing. It's definitely not as weak as you said at level D. Su Mei kept blocking in front of him, constantly resisting Su Rong's attacks, but blood had already spilled from the corners of her mouth. Although her spiritual shield ability can withstand damage, mental attacks can penetrate her brain and cause damage to her soul. She is about to give up. However, her mind was filled with images of Su Nian lifting her from a near-death valley and slowly nurturing her, dedicating all her efforts to guide her. Even if he dies, he must die before Su Nian. This stinky bitch. Su Rong gritted her teeth, lost in thought, and attacked the oncoming monsters around her. At this moment, Warcraft has already overwhelmed the newcomers who have just entered the battlefield. It's only been a minute. Despair and pain spread throughout the entire battlefield. Suddenly, the passionate music covered all the roars. Chapter 3. Counter-Strike 1, turn the whole scene upside down. You are listening at novel full.audio. Su Nian raised his microphone and the singing began. On this stormy battlefield. In an instant, the sky and earth seemed to change color, and the movements of those Warcraft beasts were all a pause. And Su Rong's face also changed greatly. She felt incredibly stiff all over, as if she was being controlled. What power is this? Why? Why can't I move? She was terrified. The rhythm of Su Nian's singing is very stable, not affected by the battlefield at all, only at the level of completely singing this song. I saw the notes on his palm begin to move rhythmically, floating in the air. Storm Boy appears. Su Nian took a step forward and surprisingly, a fluorescent light shot out of the void and hit him. In an instant, he became the most shining star between the heavens and the earth. In front of him, Su Mei was already half kneeling on the ground, with blood spurting out of her mouth. She said with satisfaction, "Su Nian, I'll hold on." Su Nian thought to himself, "Sister Mei, don't worry, you will be fine." Overcoming the roaring flames. The whole world is noisy. I saw the roar of weapons coming from the void. A shell exploded with a loud roar, completely shattering the body of a Warcraft, splattering its flesh and blood on the ground. Suddenly, many warriors appeared on the earth, holding various firearms in their hands. Some even held rocket launchers and aimed them at the flying monsters in the sky. The trigger is pressed, and the rocket is ejected from the rocket launcher. A passionate explosion exploded in the air. The body of the Warcraft was blasted into pieces. All of this happened in just a few seconds, and in a short amount of time, it was astonishing. Those who were already waiting to die have also rekindled their hope for life. At this moment, they could no longer hear any other sounds in their ears, only intense music. Only that song. The signal of gunpowder flying wildly. The era of mechs is coming. Everyone was amazed to find that they had extra weapons in their hands. The names and usage methods of these weapons automatically appeared in their minds. As one person looked at the heavy machine gun in their hand, the name of the gun came to mind. Thunder 999. He held the machine gun and pressed the trigger towards the monster ahead, causing flames to burst out. Bullets poured down, and the Warcraft was riddled all over. They were holding different weapons in their hands, and for a moment their courage grew stronger, attacking the enemy. Only Su Rong and Wang Tao did not receive the weapons, and they felt cold all over, their bodies extremely stiff, unable to move. The song is still ongoing. Hot blood flows upstream. Su Mei, who was lying on the ground, only felt a warm sensation coming from all over her body, and her soul, which was almost shattered by the mental attack, began to recover. Then she stood up, holding a revolver in her hand. Su Nian is still singing. The tank is burning. Hot warriors are also unstoppable. At this moment, the scene of being unilaterally slaughtered by Warcraft on the battlefield has now transformed. A huge tank appeared, and with a single shot from the barrel, it could blast out a blood hole from a monster that was tens of meters tall. Robots rained down from the sky, releasing bullets and shells. The song brings assistance and also gives strength to everyone. On the earth, those who had already been scared out of their wits have also begun to fight back. Bullets and shells kept passing by. The howling of Warcraft echoed throughout the battlefield. The attack and defense have become easier. The singing is getting more and more passionate. The battle has also entered a white-hot stage. Come on. It's a reverse war. Ace wants to be wild, explore the universe and smooth out the world. At this moment, everyone also knows from whom the weapons in their hands and the power on their bodies come. It's Su Nian. It's the young man who awakened the D.level battle sound. Now, no one dares to underestimate this ability called Jianing. No one dares to mock Su Nian, only gratitude. Only Wang Tao, at this moment, his heart has been filled with regret. He trembled and was pressed to the ground by the immense power contained in the music, unable to move. The flames on his body seemed to be extinguished. And Su Rong beside her had already knelt down, raised her eyes, and glared angrily at Sun Yen. Why? Why do D.level abilities have such great power? Let me go. I'm your sister. She is full of anger and has no regrets at all. In her heart, all of this is hers, even if it's all earned by her unrelated younger brother, even if it's a pack of snacks, every penny is hers. I should have been like this since I was young. She glared angrily at Sun Yen. Sun Yen did not react at all. He looked at the battlefield, constantly singing, completely immersed in the music. Puzzy. A monster rushed over and bit Su Rong's neck in one bite. Until she died, she still stared her eyes wide open. Songs spread throughout the earth, and tanks and mechs galloped on the battlefield, crushing countless enemies. Su Mei looked at the dead Su Rong and smiled. She didn't know what Sun Yen was thinking. But her idea is very simple. Some people have been bad guys since birth, the kind that cannot be changed. Making her born is the mistake of this world. Fortunately, this mistake has finally been brought to an end. She held the revolver in her hand and fired a shot. Unexpectedly, none of these monsters in front of her could only take her shot. The weapons given by Sun Yen's battle sound are really too strong. I want to manipulate my power, make a name for myself. Look at this dragon battle in the wilderness. The world is changing color, and a steel dragon appears at the book garden. www.zhaoshuyuan.com. That is a long dragon formed by the convergence of mechas. The mecha killed into the herd. What kind of ability is this? Oh my goodness. D.level. What D.level can have such powerful abilities? This is clearly an SSS level ability. Chu Fifan also saw all of this in his eyes and was deeply shocked. His already desperate mood suddenly began to sprout new hope. Everyone. Go ahead. Drive these bastards out of our world. Go ahead, go ahead. Countless people began to charge towards the Warcraft. Sun Yen's singing echoed through the battlefield, becoming the strongest support in everyone's hearts. The ferocious Warcraft suddenly began to hesitate as they watched this scene. Even some Warcraft began to flee towards the temporal and spatial cracks behind them. Did Warcraft actually start to run away? Chu Fifan widened his eyes. He had been fighting against Warcraft since the invasion of another world. Have you ever seen such a situation? His heart was filled with immense joy. In this way, the invasion of another world may be able to be blocked. Our world has hope for life. He roared angrily and headed towards the Warcraft ahead. Blood flows across the earth, and the human blood that used to occupy too much has now become that of Warcraft. Sun Yen closed his eyes and held up the microphone. Brothers Sin continue to be tenacious in the future. Watching the flames of war sway, all those who fought against Warcraft suddenly felt a strong burst of energy from their already weak bodies. With the support of this energy, they roared and rushed forward. Chapter 4. Hope comes and disappears. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The singing rippled, and the sound of fighting also sounded. The Warcraft can no longer sustain themselves. Countless mechas gallop on the battlefield, bombarded by heavy firepower, and all beings are equal. Even if it is a huge and powerful defense Warcraft, it is the same. I don't know how many Warcraft were torn into pieces by mechs. I don't know how many tanks have fired shells and killed many monsters. Everyone only knows that this is an opportunity for a counterattack. Chu Fifan led everyone to chase after the Warcraft. Kill me. Let these dogs die without a place to bury themselves. We have hope for Blue Star. All of this was given by Sun Yen. He is our savior. Sun Yen. Niu Pai. The firepower was unleashed, and the few remaining Warcraft were completely wiped out. The rest of the Warcraft retreated into the cracks of time and space. Sun Yen had also finished singing this song and put down the microphone in his hand. Mechas, tanks, and weapons in people's hands have also dissipated into small dots. All of this happened within the time frame of a single song, which was so dreamy that most people haven't recovered yet. Su Nian looked at the battlefield with a faint smile. This is the full power of battle sound, which can bring such powerful power. He lifted his left hand, and the notes on it were still shining brightly. However, the original note has now become 2. Has it been upgraded? Obtaining experience through fighting monsters. It's a bit like a game. Su Mei walked forward and, as the Warcraft began to crumble, she did not rush forward, but instead kept guarding Su Nian's side. She was not at ease, afraid that a Warcraft would ambush Su Nian. Fortunately, those Warcraft beasts were not as smart as she had imagined. Su Mei smiled and said, "Su Rong is dead." Su Nian nodded, completely indifferent. He looked ahead at the huge temporal and spatial crack. At this moment, Chu Fifan, who had only one arm, stood up in front of the cracks in time and space. He looked at the huge crack in time and space, his eyes icy cold. He raised his only remaining hand and raised it high. I saw the silver power of space appearing above the cracks in time and space. The force of silver space began to compress the cracks in time and space downwards. Others were also shocked to see this scene. What is Chu Fifan doing? Isn't it? He wants to use his spatial power to erase the temporal and spatial cracks here. Really? That's great. Our days can finally be peaceful. Yeah, that's really great. We can survive now. Everyone stopped on the battlefield, looking at the temporal and spatial cracks ahead, and their hearts were filled with fantasies of returning to normal life. Everyone is watching as the cracks in time and space become smaller and are about to disappear. They cheered one after another. However, a pair of huge claws protruded from the cracks in time and space. Sting! These claws tore open the cracks, reopening the cracks in time and space, and tearing apart everyone's fantasies. That is a huge monster that is dozens of times larger than all previous Warcraft. It has a huge vertical pupil, which is dotted with stars, like a starry sky. The enormous claws connected the massive body, and the silver torso squeezed towards the cracks of time and space. The monsters that had originally escaped also rushed out of the cracks one by one and ran towards the crowd. Done. Done. This is the Doomsday Beast. I have some hearsay. The Sakura Kingdom was destroyed by an Doomsday Beast. Run away. Everyone. Escape. Chu Fifan's body had already flown backwards and hit the ground, spitting out a mouthful of blood. He couldn't believe why the Doomsday Beast appeared. Is it possible that our imperial capital will also be destroyed like this? Chu Fifan's heart was shrouded in despair. He pressed the button on his chest necklace with trembling fingers and issued a cry for help. And at this moment, the familiar prelude rings. All the people who fled in defeat suddenly realized that they were not without confidence. Their confidence is Su Nian. Su Nian's battle sound has already proven its strength in previous battles, incredibly powerful. Familiar music is playing. On this turbulent battlefield Storm Boy appears. Mechas and tanks reappear, and weapons that disappear from everyone's hands return once again. The singing was incredibly passionate, accompanied by accompaniment that spread throughout the battlefield. Chu Fifan stood up with red eyes and said, "Su Nian. You did a good job." He wiped away the blood from the corner of his mouth and rushed forward first. "Everyone, charge me. Defend our home." He lifted his hands, and the space blade shot out, slashing at the Warcraft in front of him and cutting it in half. Others have also turned around, roaring and attacking with weapons in their hands. Some people are still hesitating. Can we get through it? That's the Doomsday Beast. The Doomsday Beast that destroyed countless countries. What are you thinking? It's all dead now, both vertically and horizontally. Yeah, anyway, it's also death. It's better to stand and die than to escape. Well said. People who were still hesitating rushed forward and began to fight against the Warcraft. The singing is drifting. Machine mechs also appeared on the battlefield, heading towards the front for battle. The tracks of countless tanks rolled up the minced meat on the ground, crushing it away, and the crimson barrels kept blasting out shells. At this moment, the Doomsday Beast from zhaozuiyuan.com has also crawled out, waving its huge claws and smashing dozens of mechas into pieces. The Doomsday Beast has come out. I don't believe it anymore. I can't kill this Doomsday Beast. Even if I die today, I will go down to the underworld to tell my fellow countrymen that I sacrificed myself in battle with the Doomsday Beast. A continuous stream of mechas appeared, carrying heavy firepower to besiege the Doomsday Beast. Ripples appeared on the Doomsday Beast, and upon closer inspection, there was a layer of colorful film on his body, blocking all attacks. The heavy firepower that used to be unstoppable and have killed the Warcraft without armor, is now of no use. The Doomsday Beast waves its claws. It seems like a crack was scratched in the air. Countless mechas were shattered and exploded. The goal of the Doomsday Beast is clear, it is Sun Nian, and it holds its head high. A huge laser gathered in his mouth. Su Mei stood in front of Sun Nian and raised her spiritual shield. She gritted her teeth tightly, fully aware that she could never withstand this attack. But she still needs to stand in front of Sun Nian. What if there is her defense that can keep Sun Nian alive? Sun Nian's singing continued as he suddenly raised his left hand. I saw a flash of notes in my hand, and the original two notes trembled slightly. With a flash of light, the third note appears. Boom! A huge radiance rose into the sky. Everyone found that the weapons in their hands had been epic strengthened. They even found that they could unleash some very powerful skills. And those vulnerable mechas have also evolved at this moment. Even the tanks on the ground are being upgraded. Chapter 5. Despair. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Doomsday Beast opens its mouth and a laser is about to shoot out. However, what greeted this laser were countless shells soaring into the sky. There is still a laser cannon in the shell. Boom! The laser exhaled and the shell exploded together. Countless tanks, moving forward, constantly firing laser shells from the muzzle. The mecha has already risen into the air, transforming into a huge wall, venting its artillery fire and bombarding the Doomsday Beast. The laser emitted by the Doomsday Beast was constantly pushed back by these shells. Finally, the shell hit the mouth of the Doomsday Beast, emitting a huge explosion. The Doomsday Beast tilted its head backwards, closed its mouth, and its huge erect pupils closed tightly. Everyone! Go ahead. The Doomsday Beast is not Sun Nian's opponent either. Go ahead. Take down the Doomsday Beast. Kill these despicable invaders. Everyone is charging, unleashing incredibly powerful skills to chop the monster in front of them into flesh and mud. Chu Fifan also laughed wildly and rushed towards the Doomsday Beast, feeling that his condition was better than ever before. Although he was still seriously injured just now, he can now launch a charge. He raised his arm and shouted loudly, "Space Gate." I saw spatial fluctuations, and a huge knife appeared above the head of the Doomsday Beast. Die for me. The knife fell hard. Bang. However, the defense of the Doomsday Beast was incredibly strong, and Chu Fifan's space knife shattered into fragments and disappeared into the void shortly after colliding with the Doomsday Beast. Then a colorful light wave bounced back and exploded in front of him. Puff! Chu Fifan spewed out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground, feeling extremely shocked in his heart. The strength of this Doomsday Beast is several times stronger than he imagined. Not good. Even Sun Nian now cannot defeat this Doomsday Beast. Sun Nian, such a powerful person, must be preserved. Chu Fifan gritted his teeth and lay on the ground, unleashing his spatial abilities. With a flash of his figure, he approached Su Nian and grabbed his leg, ready to release the space teleportation. Su Mei rushed up and raised her gun, saying, "What are you doing? Let go of him." Chu Fifan gritted his teeth and said, "I'm taking him away to save his life." Su Nian tightly held the microphone in his hand, as the time for a song was almost over, but the number of Warcraft on the battlefield was still increasing. The Doomsday Beast's strength is exceptionally strong, and the mechs he summons cannot cause too much damage to it. He was not distracted, even if his leg was caught, he still focused on singing. Su Mei rushed up and pulled Chu Fifan away, saying, "Su Nian is not the kind of person who can survive on his own. You let go of me." Chu Fifan widened his eyes and roared angrily, "I'm trying to preserve a powerful seedling for our dragon kingdom, not just survive." Su Mei pulled Chu Fifan aside and said, "I don't care, I only know what Su Nian is willing to do." Chu Fifan gritted his teeth and glared angrily at Su Mei. After a long time, he sighed. The Doomsday Beast collided with mechs and a group of tanks, making it difficult to distinguish for a while. A continuous stream of Warcraft also fights against people who acquire stronger weapons. For a moment, the battlefield unexpectedly fell into a stalemate. Through the cracks in time and space, at the other end of the cracks, in a different world. Countless groups of Warcraft gather here, transforming into a sea of Warcraft. Above the sky, two humanoid creatures covered in tentacles floated in the air, communicating with each other in low voices. This sound is like coming from the abyss of purgatory, and also like the whispers of ancient gods. Can the Doomsday Beasts also defeat them? The group of insects suddenly burst out with strange power, which seems to be projected from some other plane. What should we do? Force another Doomsday Beast into it. No, force a Doomsday Beast, this temporal and spatial rift has begun to become unstable. If another one is inserted, this temporal and spatial rift will completely shatter and turn into a temporal and spatial turbulence, never opening the path to the next eclipsing star. If it were not for the laws of time and space, let me go there myself, I would be able to crush all the insects to death. Wait, those insects are definitely not our opponents, even one Doomsday Beast is enough. On the other hand, isn't it by one Doomsday Beast that Arlia successfully occupied a land? That's right. The gaze of the two tentacled people fell ahead, where there were more than 10 apocalyptic beasts lying on the ground. Behind this Doomsday Beast, there are even larger creatures. On the sky of another world, shattered stars, blazing flames, and azure storms all froze in the air. At this moment, the nearest gathering point to the imperial capital, after receiving a distress signal, several teams of thousands gathered. Everyone stood on a flying boat and flew rapidly towards the imperial capital. The first strong man with a beard shouted loudly, "Everyone! The Emperor will no longer be able to hold on. We need to go and support. We cannot let the Emperor turn into ruins." The temporal and spatial cracks in the imperial capital are one of the most serious cracks in the entire Dragon Kingdom. This is a fierce battle. No one knows, can you come back alive after this battle at the book garden www.zhaosuiyuan.com. But we must go, behind us are countless ordinary people who have failed to awaken, they are our family, our brothers and friends. To defend our homeland. To fight for the Dragon Kingdom. Fight for the Dragon Country. Everyone shouted in unison. The people here have already participated in dozens of battles in the space-time rift. These temporal and spatial cracks are not as big as the imperial capital, and there are not as many Warcraft as the imperial capital. But they have already honed themselves, unlike the warriors of the imperial capital, who can only fill it with their lives. The bearded man looked at the soldiers in front of him and couldn't help but be moved. He knew that going to the imperial capital this time was very likely to result in 9 or even 10 deaths without any life. All the soldiers present may die on the battlefield. But none of them retreated. He sighed and arrived inside the cabin. At this moment, an emergency meeting is being held inside the cabin. The person led by him was a level 10 warrior from the Dragon Kingdom, and his expression was extremely serious. Everyone, the soldiers of the Imperial capital have already suffered 90% of the battle damage. Even if it's unavoidable, they have called the whole nation to the battlefield. And we have received new news. Emperor, the Doomsday Beast has appeared. Which country was the last to see the Doomsday Beast? Sakura Kingdom. How are they now? They have already gone extinct. Our Dragon Kingdom absolutely does not allow such things to happen. He firmly patted the table and said, "We must kill the Doomsday Beast. I have summoned all garrisons below S.level in the time and space cracks, quickly move to the capital. Provide support. We absolutely do not allow the Doomsday Beast to leave the capital alive." Chapter 6. I want to fight my reverse attitude. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. One mecha shattered into fragments, exploding in the air and turning into brilliant fireworks. Above the ground, more than half of the tanks have been damaged, turning into a mess on the ground. Sun Yan's song is also coming to an end. At the end of the song, all the mechs on the scene are about to disappear. Everyone looked at the undamaged Doomsday Beast with despair in their eyes. Can't we resist it after all? Why? Why are there such powerful creatures? Why doesn't God help us? Let us fight against such powerful creatures. I don't want to die, ah. On the battlefield, there were cries of sorrow. Warcraft constantly emerge from the cracks of time and space, as if they cannot be completely killed. The huge Doomsday Beast waved its claws, tearing apart mechas. Those attacks did not cause any damage to it when they landed on it. No one has the confidence to win it anymore. Chu Fifan raised his hand and said, "Sun Yan, let me take you away. You absolutely cannot die here." After Sun Yan finished singing the last sentence, he raised his head and looked at the Doomsday Beast, saying, "It's not over yet." He raised his hand. There are already 5 notes in his palm, which means he has sung Rebellion 4 times. Despite being able to resist the invasion of the Warcraft and kill the massive Doomsday Beast despite being able to do so 4 times. Suddenly, the music changed. A new song. Appear. Sun Yan raised the microphone and the sound came out. To fight my rebellious attitude who says humans are habitual animals, what kind of person is he who dares not subvert this secular world? Yeah, reverse attitude. Continuation of reverse war after reverse war. The song ends, and the mechs, tanks, and weapons that were supposed to shatter and disappear now emit a dazzling radiance. I saw these evolved mechas suddenly burst out with another kind of energy. This energy is exceptionally powerful. Silence can be misinterpreted. Attack is the best defense. Not being polluted is simple. Chu Fifan suddenly felt an energy seep into his body, and he suddenly realized that his life, which was already on the verge of exhaustion, was starting to shine back. I understand. Chu Fifan stood up, his eyes sparkling with light. He understood Sun Yan's intentions. I would rather die in battle than survive. Just like the lyrics he sings. Attack is the best defense. Don't be contaminated, this simplicity. He rushed forward, tearing apart the space and cutting the body of the Warcraft ahead into pieces. Blood splattered all the way, and countless monsters were torn into pieces by him. He galloped all the way towards the Doomsday Beast. Doomsday Beast. No matter how powerful you are. I will show you. Humans will never be defeated by things like you. He roared angrily, his figure flickering in the air, and in an instant came to the eyes of the Doomsday Beast. Looking straight at those huge vertical pupils, Chu Fifan raised his one arm and swung it fiercely. Bang! The power of silver space is splitting down. A layer of colorful light film appeared on the Doomsday Beast, resisting the power of space. Click and wipe. Suddenly, this colorful film of light began to shatter. The Doomsday Beast's pupils shrank and then emitted an ultimate laser, instantly piercing through Chu Fifan's body. Bang! Chu Fifan's body instantly shattered and turned into blood mist, sprinkling in the air. Chu soldiers. Countless people below are glaring with anger, their inner despair has been dispelled, leaving only anger and the desire to fight. Everyone, gallop all the way, killing the monsters ahead one by one and heading towards the Doomsday Beast. The singing echoed on the battlefield, with tanks reappearing and mechas soaring into the air. Suddenly, the song reached its climax. Light. Phoenix flying against the wind. Light. Growing against adversity. Light. A confident glow of reverse attitude. Everyone's speed skyrocketed, and their combat effectiveness was greatly upgraded. They dispersed like a huge sickle, harvesting the life of Warcraft on the battlefield. Blood and flesh splattered down. Thousands of people have arrived at the Doomsday Beast. The Doomsday Beast looked at this group of insects and waved its huge claws to take pictures. Boom boom boom. Blood and flesh splattered everywhere, making it impossible to look directly at. Everyone held their guns and unleashed all their abilities, shooting at the Doomsday Beast. I saw that the cracks in the colored light film on the Doomsday Beast's body had grown bigger and bigger, spreading like a spider web, gradually covering its entire body. The Doomsday Beast opened its big mouth and began to roar, waving its claws to take pictures of the soldiers constantly rushing in front of it. Blood and flesh splattered everywhere, and life kept passing by. However, the light film on its body is also about to reach the edge of fragmentation. The singing is getting more and more passionate. Light. Anti-war all-confidence light dare to compete with the heavens again suddenly. A huge beam of light descended from the sky and landed on the entire battlefield. A huge red phoenix appeared, spreading its wings and soaring high in the air, raising its head high and gazing at the erect pupils of the Doomsday Beast. A phoenix roar echoed through the sky. Phoenix Pan. I saw those soldiers who had already turned into flesh and blood and died, but now they have actually come back to life. They roared and charged towards the enemy, attacking. Chu Fifan's figure once again appeared in the sky, with both hands raised and the huge blade of space swung down. Machine mechs rained down from the sky, flooding the sky and earth. Bang! The light film on the Doomsday Beast shattered with a loud bang, and countless attacks fell on him from zhaozuiyuan.com. It opened its big mouth in pain and burst out with a burst of laser energy. No way! Chu Fifan's figure had already risen high, and his hands suddenly pressed down. The force of space fell and pressed against the mouth of the Doomsday Beast, firmly blocking it. Su Nian suddenly moved, holding a microphone, his figure flashed, and he suddenly appeared in the sky. He sang the passionate song. Light. Phoenix flying against the wind, light. Growing against adversity, light. The confident radiance of a reverse attitude dare to compete with the heavens again. A song is coming to an end. Su Nian lifted his left hand high and suddenly pressed it down. I saw the phoenix in the sky raise its head and let out a phoenix cry, flapping its wings and heading towards the Doomsday Beast. Boom! The phoenix struck down, and the Doomsday Beast's body began to shatter before exploding into fragments, shattering into nothingness. The music came to an end, and the battle also came to an end. All the Warcraft saw the Doomsday Beasts being killed and retreated towards the cracks in time and space. Countless Warcraft retreated like a tide. The resurrected warriors held their heads high and chased towards the monsters ahead. Su Nian's figure slowly fell to the ground. Su Nian, are you okay? Su Mei rushed over and looked at Su Nian with concern, asking. Su Nian shook his head and said, "It's okay, I just sang too much and my throat feels a bit uncomfortable." The battle has come to an end, and all Warcraft have returned to the cracks of time and space. The light flickered in the space ahead, and Chu Fifan's figure appeared, kneeling on the ground. Su Nian, thank you. We survived. Chapter 7. Unbelievable enemies and companions. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. As the cracks in time and space continued to shrink, the creature covered in tentacles spoke in a low, hoarse voice. How could it be? The Doomsday Beast was defeated. What power is this? The creature beside him, with its tentacles constantly twisted and its voice spewing out like that of a quagmire. Undead bird. Don't worry about that much, quickly continue to dispatch the Doomsday Beast. The temporal and spatial cracks are about to shrink. Don't worry, it's just a small issue that we're missing one time and space crack. We've achieved perfect invasion at 3 time and space cracks, occupying huge territory, not lacking this one. But can we just forget about it? Wait for the next wave of time and space, we'll launch another attack. We'll wash away this humiliation. 2 tentacled creatures floated down from the air. One of them climbed onto the body of the Doomsday Beast, its tentacles touching the other's pupils, and then slowly crawled into it. The Doomsday Beast trembled all over, but the colorful light film on its body had no effect on the opponent. In no time, this creature had already entered the body of the Doomsday Beast. The broken earth, a battlefield full of flesh and blood. A flying boat landed, and the soldiers quickly got off the boat, looking around in confusion. Where are the enemies? Where are Warcraft? Where are Doomsday Beasts? The person on the side who was tidying up the mess said without looking up. You're late, the Doomsday Beast has already been defeated by us. What? Defeated? How could it be? The soldier raised his voice, looking incredulous. The person who cleaned up the mess was angry, looked up, and angrily shouted at the soldiers. What are you saying? Are you questioning what I'm saying, or do you think I can stand here alive and talk to you? This shouldn't have happened. We have killed millions of people in battle. Look, the ground is covered with the bodies of our compatriots. How could you people speak to me in such a tone? The soldier also became angry and said, What are you talking about? I'm here to support you. How could you still scold me? Support. Hee, if it weren't for Sun Yen, when your time comes, I'm afraid I won't even have any left, right? The person looked at the group of soldiers with a sorrowful expression and shook his head, saying, If it weren't for Sun Yen, you guys would have died if you came. You. The soldier raised his hand and a red laser sword appeared in his hand. Stop it. Lu Jie. Are you going to take action against your own people? Hurry up and get out of here. I'll be locked down for 15 days. Captain. We came all the way here and were actually said to have died. Can you also bear this? Lu Jie gritted his teeth and said with a fierce and ferocious expression. The man with a beard all over his face scolded, Hurry up and get out of the confinement room. Do you want me to treat you? Lu Jie gritted his teeth and walked onto the flying boat. The man with a beard all over his face looked at the time and space crack that was about to heal, and his heart was also very shocked. Has the imperial capital defeated the Doomsday Beast? How did you defeat it? He picked up the transmitter in his hand. Due to the influence of temporal and spatial cracks, communication on the Blue Star has almost been cut off, and communication can only be achieved through these specially designed transmitters. Soon, the transmitter rang. Xiong 1. Did you arrive? I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you because I was too happy. The Doomsday Beast has already been solved by us, so I won't say anything more in the transmitter. I'll come over directly. The bearded man, also known as Xiong 1, put down his messenger and felt extremely excited inside. Really, it's actually true. The Doomsday Beast has been eliminated. I saw the space ahead shining brightly, and Chu Fifan appeared on this land. His face was very good, with a rosy complexion. Xiong 1 stared blankly at the other person's hands. Are you looking foolish? I have recovered. Chu Fifan raised his hands and shook vigorously. Are you possessed by an alien demon? Actually, this place has already been killed by the Doomsday Beast. Chu Fifan's face drooped and he said, what about the divine horse? Xiong1, I gave you face because you are a 9th level warrior like me. Are you possessed by evil spirits? His hands shimmered with silver, and his spatial abilities were activated. Although Xiong1 is also a level 9 warrior, his strength is only at level S, and he was able to reach this level entirely because there is a level 10 warrior standing behind him. His own strength is far inferior to that of Chu Fifan, and he decisively accepts it. Xiong1 quickly raised his hands and said, I was wrong, Fifan brother. I was just shocked. How did you solve such a powerful thing as the Doomsday Beast? Chu Fifan's face improved a bit. He took out a cigarette from his pocket and held it in his mouth, saying, of course it was thanks to Sun Yan's strength. Without Sun Yan, we couldn't defeat the Doomsday Beast. Without Sun Yan, we would only have a dead end. Xiong1 widened his eyes and said, who is Sun Yan? I heard that your imperial capital has launched a full-scale awakening plan. Has he awakened SSS level abilities? Can he actually kill the Doomsday Beast? What abilities? Chu Fifan took a puff of his cigarette and said, battle sound. Nian. Xiong1 widened his eyes and looked for Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. What is this? Does SSS level ability have this? Why have I never heard of it? Is it a newly emerging ability? Chu Fifan took a puff of smoke and said, classified as a D.level ability. Xiong1's face turned red with anger and he said, D.level. Are you teasing me? D.level can kill the Doomsday Beast. So can I even fight back into the cracks of time and space? Although my strength is not as good as yours, you can't fool me like this, can you? Don't worry, we will definitely not compete with you as the strong ones from your imperial capital. Moreover, they are so powerful that where they want to go is also their own idea, and we cannot control it. Chu Fifan finished smoking a cigarette and threw it to the ground. He stepped on it and said, do I need to deceive you? It's Nian. It's just his strength, but definitely not D.level. Those brainwashed researchers have misclassified this ability. The true battle sound is definitely SSS level. Xiong1 stared blankly at Chu Fifan and said, are you saying that those people misclassified Nian's abilities? Nian is actually at the SSS level, right? Chu Fifan nodded and said, that's right, only SSS level, no, only those with abilities far beyond SSS level can have such powerful power. He summoned powerful warriors from other worlds, as well as powerful tanks and mechs. He also gave everyone powerful weapons, allowing us to gallop on the battlefield and be invincible. Xiong1 felt extremely shocked as he listened, and then when he heard Chu Fifan's next words, he opened his mouth wide, feeling that his worldview had been refreshed. His singing gave everyone strength, even in the most critical moments, revived everyone. Let us successfully kill the enemy. Chapter 8. Improvement of Warfare Sound Ability. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Sun Yan returned home, sat on the sofa, and drank 1 liter of water in one gulp. The ability of Nian is good in everything, but there is one thing that is not good, which is that it requires too much saliva. He sang a total of 5 songs in this battle, 4 of which were anti-war, and 1 was anti-attitude, which made his singing dry and dry. Of course, it is also related to the use of his own abilities. At this moment, Su Mei had changed into a family uniform, wearing a lace apron and holding a pot of fruit in front of him, saying, Sun Yan, how are you? Is your body okay? I heard that some SSS level abilities overdraw your body to release powerful energy. She had a worried look in her eyes. Sun Yan smiled and shook his head, saying, don't worry, I haven't expended too much energy, nor have I overdrawn my body. The strength I use is borrowed. Borrowed. Su Mei knelt on the carpet and asked in confusion. That's right, my ability is war music, and I can embody the power of music. I'm just an introduction, using my singing to unleash the power of this song. And these powers come from outside this world, this plane, from there, from these music. Su Nian said so, and Su Mei couldn't understand either. But she doesn't care if she can understand, as long as Su Nian and she are both safe and alive, that's all. Su Mei picked up an orange and began peeling it, then handed it to Su Nian. Su Nian took it and took a bite, still thinking in his mind. The songs he sings are transported from his past life, and the power he gains is also related to the songs of his past life. The song, Reverse War, is the theme song of the game of the same name, which features mechs, tanks, and countless powerful weapons. After Su Nian sang the song, these elements naturally appeared. Even after singing repeatedly, he improved his singing ability and had more notes in his hands. That is the enhancement of battle sound ability and the enhancement of everything evolved from the song. Continuing with Reverse Attitude, this song is also a song from the game Reverse War, so it can seamlessly connect, preserve all states on the battlefield, and provide a wave of reinforcement. When the song reaches its climax, a phoenix appears and brings people back to life, giving everyone the ability to dare to compete with the heavens. Obviously, the ability to produce battle sound is highly positively correlated with the background and lyrics of the song. After Su Nian understood this, he had already categorized the songs he copied. Burning and passionate songs are obviously suitable for combat. I don't know what the effect of sad and melancholic songs is for now. A warm and healing song should be able to heal a person's wounds. Just as he was pondering, Su Mei stood up and said, Su Nian, someone has arrived. In the garden downstairs, it's Chu Fifan. Well, you can take him into the living room first. I'll come later. Su Nian stood up and went to the bedroom to change clothes. In the recent battle, although he was always in the rear, his clothes were inevitably stained with the blood of Warcraft and humans. Wearing such clothes makes him very uncomfortable. After changing his clothes, he walked down the stairs and saw the two people waiting for him on the living room sofa. One of them was naturally Chu Fifan, while the other was very strong and had a beard, which Su Nian did not know. However, looking at the soldier's clothing on the other side, I also knew that this was a 9th-level soldier sitting side by side with Chu Fifan. Su Nian sat slowly on the sofa opposite the two of them and said, the two distinguished guests visiting our humble abode are really shining brightly. Chu Fifan laughed and said, Su Nian, you don't have to be polite. You saved all our lives, and I should be polite to you. From now on, my life will be yours. As long as it's on the blue star, I can take you wherever you want to go. Also, on the battlefield, I won't let anyone touch you. If you want to touch you, you have to step over my body first. He spoke with a smile on his face, but his expression was very serious, indicating that he would do what he said. Xiongwen on the side also felt a sense of inner turmoil. Is this Su Nian? So young. Awakened the D.level ability that everyone disliked, and then proved himself on the battlefield. And repel all enemies in one fell swoop. Even with his help, he killed the Doomsday Beast. He exclaimed excitedly, Su Nian, you are Su Nian. It's really amazing. How did you manage to drop so many mechs and bring everyone back to life? What kind of power is this? It's too powerful, isn't it? Xiongwen stared at Su Nian, eager to know. Su Nian picked up his teacup and took a sip, saying, this is the power of Nian. The source of power lies in the songs, and Nian can use the method of playing songs to lower powerful projections. Those weapons, those mechs, those tanks, and the warriors emerging from the void are all projections. Xiongwen had only a partial understanding, but Chu Fifan laughed heartily and said, it's truly Su Nian, amazing. Those fools thought that Nian was just the lowest level ability, but they didn't realize that Nian was the most powerful ability. Su Nian shook his head and said, there is no weak ability. Only those who do not know how to use the book garden www.zhaozuiyuan.com. To fully utilize the ability of war music, one must play the right song. Without the right song, everything is in vain. Xiongwen widened his eyes and curiously said, "What is a right song?" The right song. Only good songs are good. Su Nian doesn't want to say much. In fact, the right song is nothing more than what was previously mentioned, the background of the song, and the song itself. The songs here must exist in another world, which is the world of Su Nian's previous life. Although Su Nian doesn't know the reason, only songs brought over from a past life can unleash that powerful ability. If you use songs from this world, you won't be able to exert too much power. That's why the battle sound ability is rated as D. level, right? Who else in this world besides Su Nian knows about these songs? Xiongwen couldn't figure it out, but he still had great respect for Su Nian and asked. Do you think the temporal and spatial cracks here will reopen? Upon hearing this question, Su Nian pondered and said, I really don't know. I'm just the first person to step onto the battlefield. Shouldn't I ask you this question? Xiongwen scratched his face awkwardly and said, You're right, but we can't know because the enemy is too unfamiliar to us. We have no idea what their purpose is or why they want to invade our world. Chu Fifan took a sip of tea and said, I used my spatial ability to close the temporal and spatial crack, but I can see that it was originally forcibly opened by those monsters. Now that it's closed, it may take some time to open it. Chapter 9. Level Upgrade. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. It's really nice to meet you this time, Su Nian. After some communication, I can only say that only people like you who are kind and talented can be our future. Xiongwen and Su Nian shook hands and exclaimed excitedly. Too much praise, Su Nian waved his hand and said sincerely. His songs are only derived from past lives, and even the ability of this battle sound is bestowed by heaven. If it weren't for this ability, if it weren't for these past life songs, then he and the entire imperial capital would probably have turned into flesh and mud now. So, being able to survive like this and kill the doomsday beast is entirely due to a great element of luck. Huh, Su Nian, you are too humble. Xiongwen responded with a smile. Later, Su Nian saw them off and looked at Xiongwen and Chu Fifan, who had turned into silver and disappeared without a trace. Su Nian showed a pensive expression. According to the intelligence revealed by Xiongwen, the entire Dragon Kingdom has been covered by over 100 temporal and spatial cracks. This is the most powerful temporal and spatial crack in the imperial capital, with the highest number of Warcraft and the existence of doomsday beasts. But he solved it. In addition, the strongest one is the temporal and spatial crack in the Ice City. The monsters in that crack are very huge and covered in white hair. Obviously, those creatures are also living in extremely cold places. Warcraft varies from place to place. This made Su Nian curious whether the other side of the space-time rift was also a planet similar to a blue star. Which planet also has a similar climate structure? Why are there so many Warcraft? And these Warcraft are all actively rushing towards the blue star. There are still too many unknown things. Su Nian rubbed his head. Although a temporal and spatial rift has been resolved at the moment, the entire blue star is a huge sieve that is about to be surrounded. It is reported that Sakura Kingdom has been destroyed, and Warcraft has ravaged its territory. The northern country of Mauzi is still struggling to support itself, but it is expected to be on the verge of collapse. It goes without saying that there are not many people around the North and South Poles, and they have already been invaded by Warcraft. Next, those Warcraft will annihilate all local life in the world along the continent. This is really a loophole, but there are still thousands of loopholes to be plugged. It's really tiring to have dim sum. Su Nian sighed. His singing can only cover an area. With a sound system, even if the sound is placed to the extreme, it can only be seen within a few hundred miles of the image. No matter how far away it is, it cannot be reached. Unless you place the sound system in those areas in advance. But it's simply difficult to achieve. The first reason is that now Blue Star's communication, power, and other aspects have almost completely collapsed. The second reason is that those Warcraft creatures are not fools either. There is definitely intelligent life control behind them, and they will solve the sound system first. It's all a problem, now it seems like I can only solve it on my own. Su Nian reached out his hand, the notes in his hand shining brightly, and a series of speakers appeared in front of him. This is one of his battle sound abilities, which allows him to carry some music-related items with him. This ability is also possessed by other battle sound abilities, as confirmed by Su Nian. He is the same as other war sound players, but his music is different. Su Nian flipped his wrist, and one audio system after another fell into his hands and disappeared. Chu Fifan returned to the flying boat with Xiongwen. The two of them arrived at the cabin of the flying boat and met the 10th level soldier, Han Yan. Chu Fifan couldn't help but feel a ripple as he looked at this legendary figure. Han Yan is already over 60 years old, and has been a level 10 warrior since a different world before he even invaded. Now, after awakening his SSS level abilities, he has become an outstanding level 10 warrior. But his ability is very special, it's his motivation. Strong motivation, able to control all items and attack enemies from afar. This flying boat appears to be floating, but it is not the power of the boat itself, but rather the flying ability achieved by using the power of the soldier's mind to lift the boat. It was only during the battle with Shadow Killer that this soldier suffered serious injuries and fought hard to kill Shadow Killer. Shadow Kill Demon can be said to be the strongest known Warcraft besides the Doomsday Beast. It is different from the Doomsday Beast, and the strongest aspect of this shadow-killing demon is not its defense. Its strongest is the instant kill attack, which can instantly kill enemies, even the strongest defense ability cannot resist. In this battle, Han Yan lost his lower body and killed the shadow-killing demon. He can only rely on prosthetics for action now. Extraordinary, and Xiongwen, have you all returned? Have you seen that Su Nian? Xiongwen excitedly said, of course I did. I didn't expect it to be such a young person. Han Yan nodded and said, I just contacted other level 10 soldiers through satellite and unanimously decided to grant Su Nian the identity of a level 9 soldier and improve the classification of his battle sound ability. From then on, his battle sound ability will be at the SSS level. At the same time, we sincerely hope that Su Nian can hand over his music to us, and we will distribute it to other war music experts to allow the power of war music to be unleashed. Chu Fifan hesitated and said, will Su Nian agree? That's what he created. Han Yan said calmly, only in this way can the whole Dragon Kingdom be peaceful, and only in this way can the people of the whole Dragon Kingdom survive. Su Nian is a good child, he will do this. Xiongwen also nodded and said, that's right, I believe in Su Nian. From seeing him, I knew he wasn't that selfish person. Chu Fifan sighed and said, I'll go ask Su Nian, but I won't force him. Let's go. Han Yan reached out his hand to support his chin and sighed, we don't have anything to promise Su Nian now. If he really doesn't give it, we can't do anything about him. Chu Fifan nodded, his figure flickered, and he disappeared into place. At Su Nian's residence, he appeared very calm and not surprised by Chu Fifan's visit again. Are you saying anti-war and anti-attitude? Of course not a problem, you can take it with you. Here are the accompaniment, lyrics, and score. Chu Fifan was very surprised and said, are you offering it like this? Su Nian shrugged and said, otherwise, after all, I'm fighting for the country. I'm not that selfish. Chu Fifan was deeply moved and took it, then bowed and said. Su Nian, thank you for everything you have done. In the future, there will definitely be rewards. Su Nian nodded and said, I hope so. Chu Fifan's figure transformed into a silver light and disappeared. Su Mei stepped forward, wiped the table clean, and then picked up the utensils. She couldn't help but ask, Su Nian, is this really okay? Su Nian smiled and said, don't worry, I am the only one who can play these two songs. There is no other reason, it's just because I was the person who made them first appear in this world. Another special aspect of War.Tone ability is that only the earliest singers can unleash their full potential. Of course, even without this, Su Nian would still contribute. The current blue star is really in crisis. Chapter 10. Other battle sounds cannot achieve. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. After receiving the mother tapes and music scores for the songs Anti-War and Anti-Attitude, Han Yen directly sent them to a battle sound expert on the flying boat. The battle sound ability is not uncommon, but at that time no one was able to unleash a powerful force like Su Nian's. So the battle sound is often overlooked by people. And this battle sound expert on the flying boat, Han Ling, is the daughter of Han Yen, which is why he was able to board the flying boat. Everyone around was also extremely surprised, knowing for the first time that Cold Spirit has the ability. Everyone thought that Han Ling was just an ordinary person, responsible for preparing various materials. However, in fact, Han Ling had already awakened his battle sound ability, but because the ability was useless, he never used it. Before the invasion of another world, Han Ling was still a music student at the Imperial Communication University, so Han Yen was very confident about whether she could unleash all the abilities of Jianin. Han Ling took over and couldn't help but marvel at these two songs. The accompaniment and lyrics of these two songs were quite good, no wonder they were able to display such powerful strength on the battlefield. How about it? Cold Spirit. Can you unleash the ability to play the battle sound? Han Yen looked at his daughter and asked urgently. Han Ling put down the lyrics and score book in her hand and said, let me give it a try. Opening the accompaniment, Han Ling began to sing along. On this stormy battlefield, Storm Boy appears, overcoming the roaring flames. The singing is beautiful, and the voice of the cold spirit spreads throughout the flying boat. Han Yan's eyes lit up and he saw a weapon slowly appearing in his hand. This is a black pistol. At this moment, everyone on the spaceship noticed some strange weapons in their hands, which could fire bullets by simply pressing the trigger. A mecha landed on a flying boat, several meters high, carrying guns on its back, looking very powerful. Next is a tank, 5 fully armed soldiers. Han Ling has already sunk into the song, singing wholeheartedly. Han Yen stood up, his prosthetic limb driving him forward. Is this the ability of war sound? Can it summon weapons with such immense destructive power? His pistol fired several shots into the air, and the bullets pierced through the chamber. Han Yen extended his left hand and pinched it, only to see the bullet stop in the air and hover in the air. With a wave of his hand, the bullet floated in front of him. Han Yen. It's a bit interesting. Han Ling is still singing seriously, and the sound spreads throughout the entire flying boat through the loudspeaker. But this power is still not enough to see. Han Yan's eyes became sharp as he opened his hands. Moment like a strong wind sweeping up. Instantly burst out of motivation. I saw those newly appeared mechas burst into pieces in an instant. The tank could not withstand his attack and exploded into brilliant fireworks. Is this the SSS level battle sound? Why do I feel like my strength is average? Han Yen turned around and asked lightly. Xiongwen also scratched his head and said, at best, this strength feels like it's only A. level, even if it's top notch, it's only S. level. Chu Fifan. Are you sure you're not mistaken? Could something be wrong? Chu Fifan shook his head and said, no, I was on the battlefield at that time. I know best that the accompaniment and lyrics are the same. And Su Nian will not deliberately punish us on this. There is no difference in lyrics and accompaniment, but the effect achieved is greatly reduced. When Sun Nian sang, there were thousands of mechas and weapons were not so ordinary. After listening to Chu Fifan's words, Han Yen shook his head and said, "It seems that the battle sound ability is not as simple as we think. It is not just about songs that can unleash the ultimate power." Xiongwen asked, "Could it be that this song requires a male voice to sing it? Can it produce 100% of its ability?" Chu Fifan furrowed his eyebrows and said, "It feels like it's not related to gender." Han Yen picked up the satellite phone and said, "I'm going to find a male voice warrior. If it doesn't work, then it's not related to gender." Chu Fifan nodded. After singing a song, Han Ling couldn't help but gasp for breath. This song is really too popular. Singing it all in one breath makes people feel very smooth. The person who can write such a song is also a talented individual. Han Ling's eyes flickered with a strange light, and she became very curious about the name Sun Yen. She picked up the lyric book of Anti-Attitude again. Although the song was different from Anti-War, it could be matched everywhere. This song can even be said to be a follow-up supplementary song to Anti-War. Unlike the arrogance and arrogance of Anti-War, Anti-Attitude appears more mature and steady, and more like an inspirational story of growing up in adversity. Reverse War focuses on being wild, arrogant, and invincible in the world. Reverse Attitude is about growing up in adversity, flying against the wind, and turning things around in adversity. Amazing. Sun Yen. Han Ling collected the lyrics and looked at Han Yen, saying, "The person who can write these two songs is definitely not an ordinary person. Perhaps only he can unleash the full potential of these two songs. I want to personally ask him." Find Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. Han Yen nodded and said lightly, "Chu Fifan, take her with you. Do you still need to go? Trouble Sun Yen again?" Chu Fifan sighed, but when faced with Han Yen, who was one level ahead of him, he had no way to refuse. So he took the cold spirit with him and started the space teleportation. Sun Yen looked at Chu Fifan, who had returned, and also understood that they had already tried. "Do you mean that Miss Hanliang is also a war sound expert? She can only summon one or two mechas by singing those two songs?" Sun Yen touched his chin, thinking it would weaken, but he didn't expect it to be so severe. "Miss Hanliang, if you don't mind, could you sing it again? Sun Yen plans to personally take a look." Han Ling nodded with a hint of excitement in her eyes, and then began singing. Sun Yen listened, and Han Ling's voice was very good, and her singing skills were also very strong, with almost no mistakes in singing. However, Sun Yen looked outside, a mecha fell, a tank rolled its tracks and came, along with a battle squad of 4 or 5 people. I also have an ordinary pistol in my hand. The singing is good, but the effect is greatly reduced. Chu Fifan compared and found that the weapon in his hand now was like the weapon when Sun Yen sang. It was like heaven and earth. After singing a song, Han Ling looked up at Sun Yen and said, "I have done my best to sing it perfectly." Sun Yen nodded and said, "I sing very well. I think it has nothing to do with singing skills, it's purely because people are different. Next, let me sing a song for you. It can be considered a new song, and this song will also spread throughout the entire imperial capital through the sound system.